The five-strand braid of the ceremonial challah is also traditional, and it alludes to the five strands of Jewish culture in New Mexico.
I am a New Mexico Jew. We are a minority in this state. It means that we have to work a little bit harder to express our Judaism.
We were exposed to things that probably other Jews in the country weren't, such as ranching, hunting, hot rods. We were basically isolated as Jews. That's not a negative, it's just there weren't other Jews.
My parents thought that I was a missile mashugah for coming out here a little bit nuts. Wouldn't I be happier just staying in New York?
I never felt like I belonged with having a rosary in my hand.
Who is and who isn't Jewish is a very different question. Here in New Mexico, you have to choose.
We're making a batch of green chili, challah. It's a New Mexico thing.
New Mexico.
This is New Mexico, and it's the land of green chili.
Right. And there's been Jewish population here since the middle of the 19th century.
Santa Fe was where everybody arrived because that was where the trail ended. That was the beginning of New Mexico territory.
To come over here as an immigrant takes a certain kind of courage and grit that many of these people had.
Route 66 was everything.
It had the allure of the West that people were craving.
You could go up and down the block and find many Jewish merchants that had come to New Mexico to make a living and raise their families.
This is a state with national laboratories and one of the highest number of PhDs in engineering and science in the whole country.
That's part of being Jewish. There's a lot of leaders and very few followers.
I was part of the counterculture, trying to create a new reality. I wanted to find my village, and I was hoping that maybe in the communes of northern New Mexico, I would find my village.
Must be the New Mexico air makes people look for a spiritual connection.
My mother went up to the rabbi and she said, "So, Rabbi, what sect of Judaism is this anyway?" And he looked at my mother and he said, "So, Bubala, what do you want it to be?"
My family has been in New Mexico since 1598. I think that is 417 and a half years.
People are coming out and looking for their roots and learning, taking these little dots of information and connecting the little dots.
I have traced my family back 15 generations on my mother's side here in New Mexico and 13 on my father's. But that brings me to how New Mexico families are. And if we were going to forget something or keep something secret, then there it remained.
In high school, we were studying the 5 great religions. I chose to write about Judaism. When I finished my term paper, I showed it to my father. He read it and quietly put the paper down and said, in a very secretive way, "Somos judíos."
There are no synagogues, there are no rabbis, but people remembered that it's okay to be Jewish.
Every generation stands on the shoulders of all of the Jews who came and sank roots in New Mexico, who brought their talents, who brought their families, who brought their love and brought their commitment to their religion and their culture.
Our belief was that we were all one tribe, that I was no longer a minority. I was no longer Jewish, the other, or different, all one tribe.
German Jewish merchant Solomon Bevo ultimately was asked to serve as the Pueblo governor of Acoma Pueblo.
In our indigenous village, our prayers are for all people.
This is our history.
This is who we are.